Dr. Bruce Perry is a neurologist who's in the vanguard of unlocking how our brains work. His insights about teaching children are transforming the way we think about learning. If a child isn't regulated and if they don't feel connected, they'll struggle to learn. Information won't make it from the lower region of the brain to the cortex, where higher reasoning happens. Families know this. They understand that their child has to be regulated to be successful in the classroom. They long for their children to connect with the people who teach and care for them, and they need that relationship and connection too.
I was getting phone calls twice a week. Can you come get them? I was trying to reach out to the principal and the teachers and see if we could have a meeting and figure out what can we do to work together. And it was hard for them to teach their lesson when they had to keep stopping and keep telling him to stop or redirecting him. One thing the principal did was introduce himself to me. He asked a lot about my family, our story, and then he asked about my son. And after that, we were able to build a connection. My son, when it comes to relationships, he has a hard time trusting someone that he feels, oh, you're just gonna put me out, or you're just gonna call my mom. I noticed for the last 2 years at the school, when something wasn't going right, he was comfortable enough where he could go to the principal and say, hey, I just need to cool off for a second. And when he would talk to the principal, the relationship they had, he was calm, he explained the situation, and then the principal was able to say, well, hey, you could handle this situation a little different by doing X, Y, and Z.
Our youngest, since birth, had a lot of challenges which caused him not to gain weight appropriately. He couldn't say he's hungry. He in turn lashed out. A child who can't get the nutrients and the food that they need, it's hard on their bodies, on their brains, and it's hard for them to have to sit and focus in a classroom or play nicely. When he aged out of that classroom, they still had a conversation with us about whether we were more comfortable leaving him in that room. They actually were the ones that made the recommendation to keep him where he was just because of that secure attachment.
My daughter's third grade teacher, he would establish a connection first and then move on into the compliance later. They had a little room for her to go to, remove herself from the classroom for, a small period of time. One of them, I think, had kind of like a exercise bike activities for the kids to kind of just burn off energy for a minute. Then they could come back to the classroom, refocus and get back to work. It allows her to just kind of have a reset or re-regulate herself.
I received Amir when he was 2 months old. When Amir started Head Start, every child in his classroom was a very traditional family where there was a mother, there was a father. Well, that's not our family. I had to explain when they mention fathers, it's very important for them to mention his grandfather because that's his father figure. The reason I'm protective is because I have fears that other parents don't. Parents don't send their kids away for the weekend and stay all night wondering, is he okay? Is he sleeping? Is he being hurt? I knew they loved Amir, but there was a missing piece with the connection with me. We knew Amir might have some issues biologically with him being exposed to drug and alcohol in the womb. He was about 1.5 years old, and they started noticing behaviors at school. We all sat down and they talked about their concerns. I thought and believed that if I nurtured him enough, it would nurture nature out of him. That if I loved him enough, he wouldn't have these issues that we knew could be lurking. And I remember the FSS as I was crying, kind of in denial. She's like, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means we have to work together. But I tell you, that one statement about it doesn't mean you're a bad mom, it doesn't mean you're a failure, that's when I knew there was a real connection.